Hello, welcome to another Sonic Lab presentation. Today we've got Harry from Audient, and they've brought in the new ID44, which is a desktop audio interface which features some of that kind of classic Audient goodness, mic preamps and all that sort of thing. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is our biggest interface to date and the best sounding one as well. It features 4 of our Audient console mic preamps, which are from the ASP8024 console.
So top drawer stuff, right?
Yep, exactly. It's been sold for 20 years and is still selling to this day. Designed by David Dearden, who has had his hands in all sorts of audio things over the years.
DDA, for instance, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so these preamps are studio quality. You'll find them in studios all around the world, and you can just have them, in your home studio or wherever you take this.
So these are Class A mic preamps, which presumably means A is best for whatever reason. What does that mean exactly?
So Class A, the way that they work as opposed to the other classes like Class A, B and Class B, is the transistors inside them. They basically they amplify all sides of the signal, the positive and the negative sides. And what this does is it means you're getting the best quality sort of sound at the cost of a bit of extra heat, which is why studios tend to get a bit hot sometimes.
Ah, okay. So all of that extra juice that they're using, that gives you more headroom, less noise, and better transient response, that sort of stuff.
Yep, that's all. Yeah, these are proper console grade preamps.
And then presumably you've got the D2As and A to Ds in here as well, right?
Yep. So we have all new designed converters, and we have different converters for the ADCs and the DACs. We've found that we could actually optimize each sort of side of the conversion
So you've got
process.
different ones from the way in and the way out.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. We're actually getting 121 dB of dynamic range on the mic pre's using AKM converters.
Right.
And then on the digital, the DACs, we're getting 126 dB on the main outputs and 124 dB dynamic range on the headphones. So those are using Cirrus Logic.
Right, okay. We've got 2 independent headphone mixers as well.
Yep.
And this has also got, not only have we should point out, this is a USB class compliant audio interface.
Yep.
24-bit 96K.
Yep,
Right.
that's
but we've also got digital I/O as well.
Yes, so one of the main things about this is its expandability. So you can actually expand this up to a total of 20 inputs and 24 outputs once you include all the analog and digital. So it's got 2 sets of optical ports, which can be ADAT or SPDIF.
Right.
So it gives you up to 16 in and out on top of all the analog stuff.
Oh, right, okay. And that will all go down. It's actually got a USB-C connection.
Yep.
But it'll work in USB 2 and above, right?
Yep, it ships with a USB-C to USB-C cable, but also to a Type A cable. So for those that don't have USB-C ports yet, you're absolutely fine.
But if like my new Mac laptop has got a USB-C, could I just go straight in with a USB-C?
Yep, straight in with USB-C,
Okay.
and you're all good to go. You obviously need to power it with
it needs external power,
yeah.
right? Yeah, because we've got these.
We're running all the
So aside from that, on each channel we've got some modifications as well. So what's the amount of gain that we can get in? I mean, will they drive like this ribbon mic, for instance?
Yep. So you're getting 60 dB of gain on each of the mic pre's. So
right, and you get a little LED that shows you
exactly. You can set the levels on the on there, and it shows you where you're peaking at all, and you can set it more accurately, obviously, in the app that comes with it and the DAW. So on each of the preamp channels, you have full 48 volt phantom power. You have a minus 10 dB pad for all your loud sources, and a high pass filter, which is
sort of standard mic preamp
hertz
stuff.
Yeah.
What about phase and things like that? Is that something you can access?
Yeah, we have phase in the app, so you can basically just switch it on in the app, and it will come into your DAW the right way around.
All right, well, we'll get onto that in a sec, because also we've got this massive knob on here, which means to me that it's going to be used for controlling a monitor set, so that side of things, right?
Yep, so, well, that's just one of the functions of it. We've got the volume here, which just changes your regular speaker output, but it can also actually be used with our scroll control mode.
Okay.
Which is our fancy feature, which we've had on previous interfaces, and we had to have it in this because people really love it. Basically, at the touch of a button, this ID button here, this is now basically a virtual scroll wheel. So what you can do, I've got a Logic project here, and if we just open that up, there is some automation here which I've drawn in, but that's maybe a bit boring, it's not very organic, and if you're doing that over the length of a longer passage, maybe it can take quite a while. So literally all you have to do is shove it into like a touch mode or latch or write, and then hover your mouse over the parameter you want, which is in this case a cutoff, hit play, and you can alter the automation.
Right. So that ceases to become the volume control, it just becomes a mouse scroll. So, I mean, you could scroll that over kind of pretty much anything.
Yeah, so it basically works on any scrollable parameter, whether it's in your door, on your Facebook page, or whatever.
That's a useful bonus, right?
But yeah, so if you want to check what it's going to work on, you can just use your regular mouse wheel and just check that it works. But it does work on most doors, most plugins and everything. Gives you a bit of hands-on control, where previously you would have had to just sit there and draw it in with a mouse.
Right.
Maybe.
Okay, so back to the hardware.
Yep.
We've got Neutrik combi connectors on the 4 inputs, but then headphone outputs here, but also these, now I read about this, JFET DIs. Now tell me what those are.
Yep, so these are JFET transistors, and basically what they do is they are designed to emulate the input stages of like a classic valve amplifier from the 60s, 70s.
Warm up a bit.
Exactly, they offer a bit of like harmonic richness to your signal, so your guitar or bass or synth, whatever you're plugging in, will sound really good going in onto the
it's like a warm
emulation.
DI, vintage DI
Exactly,
kind of vibe.
exactly.
And I did notice there was also, as well as a word clock, because this has got word clock out, so presumably the clock in this stuff is pretty
Yep,
rock solid.
solid clock. You can run it to across all of the digital components you're going to be hooking up to it, and it'll just run perfectly.
Well, we've also got analog inserts.
Yes, now this is going back again to our sort of console heritage. You'll find there's lots of features on here which are kind of stolen from our consoles, but inserts is a really cool feature to have on this. So channels 1 and 2 have send and return jacks.
Right.
So send just takes out whatever's on the mic preamplifier, and return will insert just before the converters. So this can be used in a few different ways. You've got regular just printing while you're tracking. Running a vocal through a compressor, for example.
Right.
You can also use the extra set of line outputs, because there's 2 sets of line outputs. Send something out of your door using the routing software, send it to a compressor, bring it back in,
right.
whether you're mastering chains or whatever you want. Or alternatively, if you have any analog gear that you have no way of really getting into Logic or whatever you're using, you can actually just insert it straight into the return, and it will bypass the built-in preamps.
Oh, so if you've got an external mic preamp, you don't want another mic preamp.
Exactly,
you're just getting straight in.
And because the converters are such high quality and such large amounts of dynamic range, you are essentially using this as like a high-grade converter.
But I notice also it's discrete I/O, so because often inserts are on a stereo jack, which means you need kind of special leads and stuff. You've got that as discrete there, so that's useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so just coming along here, we've got these function buttons which look like they might be programmable. So I'm guessing that's what the case is, right?
Yeah. So these are programmable function buttons, and they control the monitoring controls on here. So just quickly moving across into the app, you can see on the bottom right here. I'll go through a bit about what the app is all about in a minute, but you have these different functions down the bottom here, and these function buttons will control them. So what we have is mono. So mono summing just takes your main output, sums it to mono for checking if you're mixing for mobile phones and stuff. Function 2 at the moment is set for polarity and mono, which is that trick where if you flip over one side,
center or not the center,
not
just
the
the
center.
sides.
Yeah, so that's great if you're wanting to just check that any reverb tails or delay or whatever sounding good, and you can also have a listen to any commercial mixes and steal some tips. And then finally you have the alt speaker button, alt speaker mode.
Right, because you've got 2 sets of outputs, so you can... Right.
Exactly, yeah, but if you don't have a set of outputs, you can actually use it with the headphones as well. It's all routable, so if you're mixing or checking your mixes on headphones, for example, you just hit the button, it'll mute your speakers, turn on your headphones, and then switch it off.
Okay.
It turns off your headphones, brings your speakers
and,
back.
and all of this router, I mean, we've also got discrete headphone mixes, which presumably you set up in there as well, right?
Yep, so we have these, so these are 2 independent headphone amps. They've got the controls here, and they're also fed from separate DACs.
Right.
But yeah, you can basically build custom headphone mixes for artists, so you can be listening to the full complete mix. Let's say you're on a tracking session, and you can have a drummer and a bassist listening to completely different stuff.
But you can route those out via not just the analog, but also the digital outputs as well, yeah?
Yep, so I'll just quickly show, we have the system panel, which is where all the sort of routing stuff goes on. And yeah, so if you're wanting to set up a headphone mix, for example, you could just...
You might have an 8-channel A to D or whatever, or D to A rather.
Yeah, and then, so digital outputs there, you know, outputs 9 and 10, which is the first set of digital outputs, just send QA there. Or alternatively, use the door through button, which basically means if you have outputs 9 and 10 from your door, it will just route it straight out of the first 2 digital outputs without any sort of volume changes. You're not accidentally going to knock anything.
This could be loud, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, there's a warning just in case you try and do it.
So,
on your
I mean,
speaker
presumably
output.
all of this setup, I mean, this is just handling routing. There's no sort of DSP going on in this thing.
No,
whatsoever,
no,
right?
it's just all the routing, but it's very flexible in terms of what it can actually route around. So here, for example, we have a potential tracking setup, and we've sent a backing track and a click track through here, which can then be sent out of the output. So you could quite easily have some reverbs and all that kind of stuff being sent through to the artist if they want.
Right,
so it's very
okay.
easy to do that.
And that works, does it need the software to work, or does it have a standalone kind of...
Yeah, it's got a standalone mode, so you can basically save these as presets and recall them for your different setups. But then to make it even easier, if, for example, you have a particular setup you want to use, you can just go to Setup and then Store Standalone State. And then every time you turn on ID44, it will boot up into that exact state, all of the routing, all of the Q mixes and everything. And yeah, so you can use it even without a laptop if you want, if you're in a live situation. So yeah.
So the other thing that I was interested in is, obviously this is USB class compliant, Mac and PC, right?
Yep, yep.
So you don't need any drivers?
You have to download some drivers for Windows to get the app and everything and to get it all to work.
Okay,
but
got you.
we've actually had a massive update on our drivers for Windows and Mac. Obviously, as part of this redesign of our app, it's very different from what people might be used to with our previous interfaces. But we've actually got much better performance at lower latencies, higher CPU loads, so you can actually get down to very low latencies now, especially, and seeing as it's on USB.
Yeah,
too
absolutely.
As well, so.
I notice we've got a talkback mic here, but I'm not seeing any. You don't usually see a little condenser on the panel.
No, we don't. So there's no built-in mic on here, and you can actually use. So we could use this as a talkback mic, although you probably wouldn't with this sort of mic.
And you'd use up a channel as well.
Yeah, so you'd have to use up a channel. So what we've actually created with this is you're actually able to use anything connected to your computer, such as a USB mic here, or even the computer's built-in mic as a talkback mic.
So it's sort of aggregating USB devices behind the scenes,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a really cool feature to basically keep it all freed up. And obviously, if you're working on a laptop, you don't have gooseneck mics sticking in your face and all that. It's all just there on the unit, and it's again very easy to set up. So it's just in the system panel. There's a talkback tab, and you can basically set it there.
Where you want to set up.
And then it's automatically routed through to all the queues, so we can basically just hit that, and you can see it's now coming in on all the meters.
Yeah. It sounds like I mean, there's a lot of features in a small box. I mean, I'm guessing audience stuff, top drawer. So what's the price, and when are we going to get it?
So they're available now,
right.
in stores, and they retail for $499 in the UK, and €569 and $699.
Right, so I mean, it's really kind of in terms of this sort of particular area of the market, that's actually pretty affordable.
Yeah, exactly,
isn't it?
like for the actual flexibility and I/O that you get from it, like it's a very, very reasonable price.
And available now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harry, thank you very much for showing us.
Indeed.
That was the Audient ID44, available in stores now. Check out audient.co.uk or .com.
.com.
Audient.com, all information there. You've got some videos supporting, showing bands being recorded, all that kind of stuff.
All
as
of
well.
that kind of stuff, yeah.
Okay, thanks very much for watching. See you next time.